Ho, ho, ho. Rollin Frost here, Kona astrologer. Not easy to be an astrologer, you know. No, it isn't in these days and times. You know, my philosophy, the free will is in your attitude. So the days are so difficult now with Mr. Trump, and just took the money from EPA, gave it to the military. Eek! So he's doing everything exactly against me, it seems, and everything I value. But back to the subject at hand, your free will is your attitude. Once you're in that body, there's a program. It's all scheduled. All the shit that's happening. Yeah, shit happens. All the stuff that's going on around you is part of the schedule. And you're not going to change that. You picked it when you got in that body. But you do have free will, and that's your attitude. Is it half full? Is it half empty? Is all that noise coming from the neighbor's house a fun thing or an irritation? Whew. So, you know, I'm spending the first 6 hours of my day, 8 hours, adjusting my attitude to try to get to a calm place. That's what it's about. Ancient science helps me a lot, but being awoken, that's what essentially happened to me. Slowly studying astrology and noticing things, I began to wake up. And once you do, it's not really comfortable. How'd I get on this train ride? How come I'm here? How come I'm subject to all this insanity and ignorance and stupidity? Well, anyway, see, I'm going back to get your attitude straight, Frost. Hey, look, I got this wonderful work to do. I'm on the tube. You have access to the ancient teachings that I'm trying to demonstrate here. And it's a start. And I'm working on the Raven and other things that come to me. The Father wants me to do. I got work. Why should I be unhappy? Show 1060. And I'm going to get in a little more to that asteroid business. And I got a choice piece of Graham Hancock to share with you. And, you know, I learned what the meaning of this word here, antediluvian, is. It just means before the Great Flood. Anyway, that's real for me now, too. Now I know where astrology came from. You know, 100,000 years humanity had to die. In the ice ages, the high civilizations. And they got ruined when the comet came in 12,800 years ago. Melted everything, changed the climate drastically all of a sudden, just kind of in a way like we're doing now. At any rate, that's what antediluvian means, is that knowledge came that, you know, from civilizations before the great flood of Noah. Can you believe that? Okay, here we go. I got a chart. I'm going to go through the sky mirror kind of quickly, because I've got a lot of work to do. The last week in March 2017, and we're going to go through it day by day. There's still a nasty T-square here. The T-square, see the red right triangle? It's moved back, comes back one day each month. It's back into Tuesdays now. Terrible Tuesdays. Just remember that. If you're on a Thursday night show back here, well, you know, the moon's in Aquarius for you. And you're probably thinking kind of clearly. And look at that. Here started in the morning with a trine to Jupiter, sextile to Uranus, sextile to Saturn. A lot of good stuff went on. Take some notes on the show. Go on YouTube, start finding out more about this stuff. When you wake up Saturday morning, after all the good sense and planning you did Friday, things are a little more dicey. Here's the South Node, and everybody needs help Saturday morning. Uh-oh. Then here's Mars finally. The heroes come in. Maybe that's sports. That's around dinner time. And everybody's going to kick back and watch sports. To me, I think of sports a little bit like patriotism. It's a misused energy. The moon goes by Neptune. That's going to be about 9, 10 o'clock Saturday night. Could be very inspired. Could be inspired to get out and do some things, some real things. Oh, let's see, the blue mark, that's a little earlier than that. This between lunch and dinner, right? You know, the moon goes by Neptune. And you'll smell better, you'll dream better, you'll be more inspired, or more confused, or get lost. So there's two of these little fishes hiding in that symbol. Could be kind of nice. Sunday morning, moon still in Pisces. Here's a nice sextile to Pluto. There's discovery going on. Yeah, discovery. Wonderful stuff. As you go through Sunday, it becomes increasingly difficult. When you get to late Sunday morning, actually, late Sunday night, early Monday morning, here's moon squaring Saturn. Yeah, and Saturn's slowing down and stopping. And he's going to stop on April 5th and get cold and depressing and scary. That's what Saturn does. He's the great malefic. Makes things smaller. So if you want to pare things down, get rid of stuff, point yourself towards the 5th of April. So here's the moon squaring it, and you won't have enough money and not enough time, and it'll be cold, and it's Monday morning. Eek! The moon's going by Venus, even worse. You want to stay in bed, do something sweet and sexy. Yeah, that's the feeling of Monday morning. You're in the Venus zone, you know. You want to take advantage of whatever pleasures you can get out of this existence sometimes. Monday afternoon, around dinner time here, here's a new moon. It's in Aries. It's at 7.5 degrees of Aries. And it's got a lot of energy in it. It doesn't have a heavy theme. So, you know, it's a good time to fix things, start new, especially physical things. Anything physical work pretty good. So, plan lightly, however, because it's Monday night and you're going into Terrible Tuesday. And there it is. It starts with Pluto, middle of the day. Eek, a bug. The police. Panicky. The reptiles are out. And it opposes Jupiter. You know, that it's interesting that Pluto's at 19 degrees of Capricorn. Jupiter's at 19 degrees of Libra. So these two guys are in square exactly. Here's the lawyers. The good guys might be ACLU. Here's Pluto. Good guys would be researchers. Bad guys would be police and people with guns. So there it's all coming down. It's the middle of the day, Tuesday. Eek, a bug. You know, the moon goes by Uranus about dinner time and into the early evening, and you'll feel kind of alone and a little herky-jerky. It settles out, well, it's really 2, 3 in the morning, Wednesday morning. Here's, wasn't watching the screen, I'm sorry. So you go by the Uranus thing here Tuesday, and this, what's this? Oh, Mercury. You get to start talking and teaching at 11, 12 o'clock, 1 a.m. in the morning Wednesday. And then a little bit past that, maybe 2, 3 a.m., the moon trines Saturn, things settle down. Get organized again after the Terrible Tuesday. Moon's in Taurus on Wednesday, the 29th. As you go through the day, you get to late Wednesday, early Thursday morning. Moon goes by Mars. Macho, lots of energy. Get out and do physical things. In the middle of Wednesday, here's a sextile to Neptune, trine to Pluto later in the afternoon, early afternoon. So there's some dreaminess here, some discovery through the middle of the day, Thursday the 30th. Friday, March 31st, the day of Venus and Vendredi. And there she is, just past breakfast. If you can arrange it, that should be the morning for love, sweets and goodies, the 31st. Moon's still in Gemini. Late that night, it makes a sextile to the sun. You get good planning, but there's confusion. It squares Neptune. Maybe we got the wrong information. Was somebody lying? We don't know. That I don't know feeling and the fuzziness continues through Saturday till you get to just after lunch when there's a trine to Jupiter on the 1st, April Fool's Day, right? And the fools are out and the clowns are out, but they're telling the truth. And here's that sextile to Uranus. You know, common sense tells you that. 10, 11 o'clock at night, Saturday. Go on the internet. Sunday morning, well, here's the opposition to Saturn. And that's no fun. we feel slow and old, and it's got cold again. Ugh. But the kids are happy. Sunday afternoon, here Mercury's in nice sextile. That's Hermes, you know. Speaking of Hermes, I've got something here I've captured off YouTube, and it's a message from Thoth, which is really Hermes, which is really Mercury. And he was the teacher, and he was a bringer of medicine and astrology and sciences. And so the Hermetic texts are really important. So, you know, I'm feeling kind of alone these days. Just like what you're about to hear, just like Thoth is talking about, we're kind of at a time when things could change radically. So anyway, here you are. You're going to see some live Graham Hancock. Okay, here's Graham. It's called A Lament of Hermes. Huh?
A mysterious body of texts came down to us from the ancient world, from Egypt. And these are called the Hermetic texts, and they're written in Greek and in Latin. But in my opinion, what they do is they distill the essence of ancient Egyptian wisdom and knowledge, and they presented it in the new languages that were then dominating the world, the languages of Greek and Latin, because these texts originated about 2,000 years ago, and they purport to be dialogues between the god Hermes, who is simply the Greek form of the ancient Egyptian wisdom god Thoth, and his pupils, where he's giving them teachings. And what I'm going to read now is from the book called the Asclepius, where Hermes is in dialogue with his pupil Asclepius. And he's giving him a teaching of great importance, and it concerns the future. And although Hermes speaks specifically of Egypt, I would suggest that Egypt is used here as a metaphor for the world, and indeed for our world, because this text speaks to the future, and I think it speaks to our time, and it contains a warning, but also a message of hope. Do you know, Asclepius, that Egypt is an image of heaven? Or to speak more exactly, in Egypt, all the operations of the powers which rule and work in heaven are present in the earth below. In fact, it should be said that the whole cosmos dwells in this our land, as in a sanctuary. And yet, since it is fitting that wise men should have knowledge of all events before they come to pass, you must not be left in ignorance of what I will now tell you. There will come a time when it will have been in vain that Egyptians have honored the Godhead with heartfelt piety and service, and all our holy worship will be fruitless and ineffectual. The gods will return from earth to heaven. Egypt will be forsaken, and the land which was once the home of religion will be left desolate, bereft of the presence of its deities. O Egypt, Egypt, of thy religion nothing will remain but an empty tale, which thine own children in time to come will not believe. Nothing will be left but graven words, and only the stones will tell of thy piety. And in that day men will be weary of life, and they will cease to think the universe worthy of reverent wonder and worship. They will no longer love this world around us, this incomparable work of God, this glorious structure which he has built, this sum of good made up of many diverse forms, this instrument whereby the will of God operates in that which he has made, ungrudgingly favoring man's welfare. This combination and accumulation of all the manifold things that call forth the veneration, praise, and love of the beholder. Darkness will be preferred to light, and death will be thought more profitable than life. No one will raise his eyes to heaven. The pious will be deemed insane, the impious wise. The madman will be thought a brave man, and the wicked will be esteemed as good. As for the soul, and the belief that it is immortal by nature, or may hope to attain to immortality, as I have taught you, all this they will mock, and even persuade themselves that it is false. No word of reverence or piety, no utterance worthy of heaven, will be heard or believed. And so the gods will depart from mankind, a grievous thing, and only evil angels will remain, who will mingle with men and drive the poor wretches into all manner of reckless crime, into wars and robberies and frauds and all things hostile to the nature of the soul. Then will the earth tremble, and the sea bear no ships. Heaven will not support the stars in their orbits. All voices of the gods will be forced into silence. The fruits of the earth will rot. The soil will turn barren, and the very air will sicken with sullen stagnation. All things will be disordered and awry. All good will disappear. But when all this has befallen Asclepius, then God, the creator of all things, will look on that which has come to pass, and will stop the disorder by the counterforce of his will, which is the good. He will call back to the right path those who have gone astray. He will cleanse the world of evil, washing it away with floods, burning it out with the fiercest fire, and expelling it with war and pestilence. And thus he will bring back his world to its former aspect, so that the cosmos will once more be deemed worthy of worship and wondering reverence. And God, the maker and maintainer of the mighty fabric, will be adored by the men of that day with continuous songs of praise and blessing. Such is the new birth of the cosmos. It is a making again of all things good, a holy and awe-inspiring restoration of all nature. And it is wrought, inside the process of time, by the eternal will of the Creator.
The gods Thoth was talking about were the planets. God is the sun, the father, moon's the mother. I know what he means. We've been in this 2,000-year cloud of amnesia and confusion for at least 2,000 years in the age of Pisces. Well, look, as he said, men of wisdom, and he means training in astrology, have a right to know that what's coming up. And I want to continue a little bit more on this matter of incoming stuff, 2029, 2030. My notes, quickie review. Graham Hancock put a lot of people together and did a great job. Comes up with the fact that 12,000 years ago, great comet hit the Earth, went into super cold period, killed half of all the big animals, and Robert Schuch and Jim Forrester and Robert Boval and Sam Osmanagich. He's got a lot of companions now, wise men that have ferreted out what's in the stone, what's in the rock. And the further that Graham went, he found that there were messages there. And that, as you might expect, these wise men, who are major astrologers, knew shit was going to hit the fan, and they left us a message. And they buried it. Yeah. And they did a lot of this work back 12,000 years ago. And then their civilization got wiped out. So what happens is the Mayans say, 2012 was a big changeover point. Now we're talking major changeover like happened in the Younger Dryas. And major. And Göbekli Tepe, those things told us 1960 to 2040. Good chance incoming comet is in this zone, huh? Yeah. And, wow. Well, it sure got my attention because I had studied what the astronomers told me was a sure bet. And that was a large 1,000 foot across asteroid, MN 2004, and it's coming in on April 13th, 2029. 29 or 28? Let me check. Okay, so it's April 13th, Friday the 13th, 2029. And that's when the astronomers are absolutely sure it grazes the Earth. It was one guy quoted, 1,000 foot asteroid. So I looked into this. I did a couple of shows on it. I studied on it for a couple of weeks. And first thing I found out is people are really scared. They are scared shitless. Yes. And it's really tough. Mercury squaring Pluto the night before while this thing is going on. And Saturn is there, the bad guy. Yeah, Saturn is squaring Pluto. Uh-oh. And Mercury setting it off. Only time I could find when people were that scared went back to when Hitler overran Europe with his tanks. So I looked into it further. I said, well, did they do anything earlier? And I found out in October 2028, there's clear indications that the world is setting off a bunch of stuff to try to avert this disaster. But it's train schedule stuff. And the fact that if they had averted it, there wouldn't be all this fear. There's a lot of fear. Now that you're up to date on this, a couple more things. I did some astrocartography, and here's the chart of them. This is a full moon chart, October 3rd, and this indicates they're trying to fix it. And, you know, there's some nice stuff here. They're trying to get Pluto. Pluto is the asteroid, see? It's like trying to clean out a nest of rats or a bunch of scorpions or something. So they had all trines here and stuff going on. Looked pretty good, you know. I tell you, everything I know is that NASA and these other agencies are corrupt, and they've been told not to look at catastrophes and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, for a month, everybody's optimistic, okay, following the full moon October 3rd. And then, let's see, I have another chart here. This is the chart of there's actually a new moon, April 13th, right on the day when that thing goes zooming by. And, I won't even get into this, but, you know, heavy-duty stuff. But this one is the one, these two charts I can use for astrocartography. I'm interested in, if there's going to be a hit, where's it going to be? So I did the full moon first. The full moon that comes up prior to this whole business on March 29th. And what I found out is everybody's doing Neptune here, and there's tsunami zones. First of all, Uranus goes right through Hawaii and says we're going to have all our power knocked out and be isolated. But the big news is Neptune's making a mess over here, and this is over here on the West Coast. Here's Portland, Oregon, Washington, down to the Bay Area into LA. So the whole west coast of the U.S. is getting tsunami lunacy, you know, starting May 29th. Well, noisy. Whew. Machines, bulldozers, noise. There's another area here that tends to indicate tsunami kind of stuff. And here, and you look at this, well, you know, it looks like there might be something going on in the Pacific. So I looked at the astrocartography for the new moon right on the date that thing is really charging us, and everybody is scared out of their wits. And I'm looking for the place where this might hit. And I'm looking for Pluto on the descendant. And that line is running right up through this Pacific Ocean here. Here's the west coast. Here's Mexico. This little blue line, here's Hawaii. There's Neptune at the top. Again, we have waves, tsunami waves, is what we're going to get. And if the thing hits here, and that's my prediction, that's where Pluto and Saturn and Mercury and all these guys hit. It's between the west coast of North America and Hawaii, and it hits in the ocean. I think it's a small piece of the puzzle, but bear in mind what they found out is that there's some very, very large fragments. This is only 1,000 feet. There's stuff that's 100 kilometers across, big chunks that are going to come in. And the bad Katoon starts at 2032. And all these other guys are coming in around that date. And not my little rock only out there, folks. And what happened is Graham found with astronomers that the Earth is passing through this little narrow band where the torrid meteor shower carries the remnants of that comet. And we're going to be going through that place in 2030. So it isn't just global warming. No, we got major incoming stuff. And all the indicators are this is the big change of the age. And Hermes says there's going to be real disasters for a while. And, you know, the guys that were there before that took the first disaster 12, 13,000 years ago, they went underground. Well, a few guys built boats, but most of them went underground to avoid, you know, the difficulties, and some survived that way, huh? Something to think about. The sad thing is we're killing all the species on Earth. The other sad thing is you've lost the true religion and the connection to spirit. And you think astrology is, you know, myth or something. So it makes me pretty sad when I look at the state of things. And I'm kind of going into the Noah's Ark mode here. Say what we can. Preserve, strengthen what remains. You know, that's, we should be in damage control now. The election of Trump and his rednecks into the U.S. government is fair warning, a shot across our bow, you know, and we're awful close to 2030 and 2029. And nobody's really very prepared, are they? In Hawaii, we got lava tubes. We got very high mountains. Of course, going into a cave isn't something you do to prepare for war like some idiots told us. That's a trap. No, it's to avoid these environmental disasters. And, you know, look for a lava tube in a high mountain around you, my friends. I guarantee you this one is a real one. Be a prepper and see what happens then. More to follow.